have this great line somewhere. You said it all bottlenecks to a moment. I love the economy of that phrase. And it's one of those things that's really interesting to, in general, this often, you see something in a community that if you only see it in a snapshot, it's irrational. And I think that's part of the importance of documentary work that happens over time. There's an instance in a terrible, terrible day in Anawati that I describe in my book, in which a scavenger, somebody who collected waste at the airport, had been hit by a car. Thousands and thousands of people passed his way in cars and on foot between the time that he was hit and 2 o'clock when someone called the police about a corpse that was disturbing small children. I started asking people, so many people saw and were disturbed. I said, why didn't you do anything? And it seems so callous. But if you don't understand the context of the desperately corrupt police force, which, that really exploited people without power, that for people who had daily wage work, they were risking their daily livelihoods and their security to go to the police to tell them about somebody who was dying in the road. So it was a circumstance in which the concept of the mutually supportive poor community was really being demolished, and what looked like an act of immorality on the part of many, many individuals was actually a sign of a very grave problem, institutional problem.
The one thing that I feel now is the greatest ethical violation that I committed was to be surprised. That's sort of what I feel. That as an intelligent, educated, information-gathering person, why was I so surprised again and again and again at the malfunction of the system, at the, the moments that bring me sort of hot shame till this day are the moments when something completely routine was occurring. And I was like, hey, wait, did you try to do the A, the B, the C? Did you call the,
Right.
What about getting legal aid? They could help you.
And institutions to function.
Yeah, that I wasn't, because what it was assuming was that everyone who had been here for a really long time, improvising in every which way to make things function, that they hadn't tried it. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like that's the part that brings me the most embarrassment. It was very difficult to talk about the joy without people sentimentalizing it or making it then okay for the suffering or the... Like, I felt I was much more of a... I concentrated a lot on the strife because I couldn't figure out how to talk about the joy without people grabbing onto it as an excuse that they didn't really have to... Like, the heart,
Right. Like Thomas Jefferson said of the slaves, their griefs are transient. I mean, that's what people want to believe of the poor, is that they don't feel it. That's what the master wants. They don't feel it very much, so we don't have to contend with it. And, in India, it's, that this idea that with reincarnation, that people didn't value the loss of life in the same way, which is a comfort to people who have power, but I don't think has anything really to do with what people feel in those communities. I personally like organizations that do one thing and do it well. I love an organization called Deworm the World, and it's working in Africa.
Could you say that again?
Deworm the World.
Okay.
It's not the most photogenic charitable relief, but addressing some of these public health catastrophes that prevent people from realizing their intellectual capacities is very important. The other thing that I would recommend you do, and I do often, is go to givewell.org. I learn a great deal from it. Every year it supports 3 major charities, but you can take a look at those. But it has excellent conversations with the people who run the NGOs about what, their capacity to, whether they're actually doing what they're saying, what their capacity is for growth and those kinds of things. And it's just made me personally much more informed as a giver. And
It's called
givewell.org.
Thank you.
It's a force for good.
Thanks.